Speaking specifically about magnesium, I mentioned that there is a 45% deficiency of magnesium. Magnesium is found in vegetables. It is what gives them their green color, similar to chlorophyll. It is the equivalent of iron's hemoglobin in the blood and is primarily located in green leaves. But we even know that the percentage of magnesium in vegetables is decreasing, even if we consume it. Now, if we can incorporate more vegetables into our daily diet, we are likely increasing that level of magnesium. What is magnesium used for? We will see. It is important for many metabolic processes, for cardiovascular function. It is related to hypertension. It is involved in neurotransmission, the brain, neurotransmitters, and genetics. It is a great protector of genes. And a long-term deficiency of magnesium, say over several decades, can lead to degenerative diseases. For example, this was published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition in 2009, and this study specifically looked at the hormonal aspect at the skeletal level, how the lack of magnesium relates to energy, and energy is behind all metabolic processes. Without energy, the heart and brain do not function well. In other words, it is the foundation of health. Even in unconventional or alternative medicines, the first thing to look at is whether there is energy. And many energy problems are simply a lack of magnesium. It is the fourth most abundant mineral in the body, and the second at the intracellular level. There is a drawback in diagnosing magnesium deficiencies, which is that since it is primarily located within the cells, when you undergo a blood test, it may appear normal. It is not an indicator of the amount of magnesium you have. This means that almost by default, if we know that 40% of the population is deficient, and you take an adequate, safe dose, you are likely preventing many problems. It has been recognized as a cofactor in over 300 metabolic reactions in the body. Imagine 300 metabolic reactions that are not functioning properly without magnesium, and this will be reflected in many symptoms or diseases. So, what causes magnesium deficiency? As we have mentioned, the lack of consumption of green leafy vegetables, the deficiency of minerals found in those fruits, and also the excess of other macronutrients, especially sugar. When we consume a lot of sugar, the body has to try to balance that dose of empty calories, and that also depletes the magnesium we have available. Stress is also another factor, and poor intestinal absorption sometimes means that it is not what we eat that is the issue. Rather, the lack of nutrients we take in orally is not the cause of the problem, but rather that we are not absorbing them due to intestinal absorption issues. There is a significant amount of malabsorption in the consultation. Leaky intestines are caused by various factors, one of which is wheat, specifically the type of wheat we are consuming, along with others that we will discuss later. It has also been observed in studies that there is a significant decrease in the incidence of strokes, that is, cerebral hemorrhages due to cerebral ischemia. This is, well, documented here. For example, this is a meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2012, which showed how daily magnesium supplementation would reduce the risk of stroke. There you have it for you to review properly. It has to do with ATP. If we don't have magnesium, there is no ATP. And if there is no ATP, we don't have energy. In 2001, with the action of the heart muscle, the contraction of the muscle depends on magnesium and other minerals, but above all, the relaxation at the level of the arteries is conditioned by magnesium. When it comes to proper bone formation, we often think only of calcium, but it turns out that magnesium may be even more important for bone health. It also plays appropriate roles in the intestines, and some research has shown that it can help regulate sugar as well. It's 2009. So for example, in the part of DNA repair, we know that it is involved in some metabolic processes that repair the genetic damage caused by daily metabolism. The act of breathing will produce superoxide damage, especially at the DNA level. Therefore, magnesium is required for those enzymes. So there is genetic damage, and magnesium, along with these other enzymes, will repair it. If we have decreased magnesium levels, or no magnesium at all, then those damages will not be repaired and may lead to genetic alterations that, in the medium to long term, can even result in degenerative diseases. It is a factor Obviously, there are many more. Types of magnesium, minerals in general, are not well absorbed unless they are bound to other substances. This is what is called chelating minerals so that they can be absorbed at the intestinal level. If they are not chelated or added to another type of substance, they simply cause diarrhea or continue straight through. Of the two that are best absorbed, magnesium bisglycinate and magnesium citrate are the most effective, but there are more. Magnesium chloride has a slightly laxative effect, and depending on what we are looking for, we can supplement one or the other. But in general, if we want to improve magnesium levels in the arteries, etc., we would need to look at these two in principle. The doses are regulated by the European Food Safety Authority in Europe, which is responsible for providing those appropriate values for supplements, as stated in 2015. In this, appropriate magnesium levels were set at 350 milligrams for men and 300 milligrams for women. From 1 to 3 years, individuals aged 1 to 3 years should receive 170 milligrams per day. In children aged 10 to 18 years, 300 milligrams, and in infants aged 7 to 11 months, 80 milligrams. In principle, an infant, if the mother is consuming adequate nutrition, and if she needs supplements and is taking them, would not have a need. And the upper doses will vary depending on the country. For example, in England, the permitted or recommended dose, let's say, is 400 milligrams. In Norway, it is 350. And in Slovenia, it is 600. It seems that there is still no very clear criterion for some minerals. However, for others, it is known that there is a very rigid window of toxicity or deficiency in orthomolecular therapies, where appropriate or therapeutic doses of nutrients and vitamins are used. These doses tend to be higher. For example, one can reach up to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium, which is generally well tolerated. Now let's talk about vitamin K. There is a 35% deficiency of this vitamin, which is especially found in green leafy vegetables. It also plays a role in photosynthesis, which is why it is abundant in vegetables. And vitamin K is particularly found in fermented foods, such as natto, Japanese soybean fermentation. However, the intestine also produces vitamin K, which is mainly related to coagulation processes and the removal of excess calcium that may be present in the arteries. It helps ensure that calcium is located where it should be. Well, regarding studies and doses, here they are. There is still not much clarity. There is a quite broad range for vitamin K, as you will see. For example, in lactating or pregnant women, it is mentioned that 70 micrograms of vitamin K is recommended, and it varies according to age. So what happens if we do not consume green leafy vegetables, if our gut flora is altered, for many reasons, such as antibiotics, etc.? Well, we are not going to have that vital vitamin that will benefit the health of our arteries. It will allow calcium to be located where it should be, that is, in the bones and not in other inappropriate places. So, as I was mentioning, it has to do with coagulation, especially vitamin K. Sorry, it is the one that is most related to coagulation. Cowsand is more about arterial health, ensuring that calcium is located where it should be. What vitamin K does is activate proteins that are in the arterial walls, which remove calcium from where it should not be, in the plaques. So many problems of arteriosclerosis are not so much due to a lack of omegas, but because we do not have vitamin K. Here, in this study, for example, it is mentioned that the theory that minerals are reserved for moments of immediate survival is a theory called triage, which has been published for several years, since 2009. What this means is that the body will reserve vitamin K for what is vital, which is coagulation. But everything related to vitamin K for artery health will not be sufficient. It will not be administered directly. What is the solution then for magnesium vitamin K? Well, one option is supplementation, and the other is to increase the consumption of leafy greens, whether in the form of smoothies ideally made from high quality, preferably organic products, as those soils theoretically have more minerals due to the type of fertilization they undergo. However, even so, it can sometimes be difficult due to what I mentioned about